Lesson 5.2, Proving Triangles are Congruent, SSS and SAS. So, how many pieces of information do we need about a triangle to prove that the two triangles are congruent? Well, last lesson we said there are 6 pieces total. 3 angles, and 3 sides. What do we have here? Well, we have 3 sides. Is that enough? Well, go out and take 6 sticks, 3 of which are identical to each other. So you have an A stick, a B stick that are the same, a C, a D, and a EF, and try and make a triangle out of them. And try to make 2 different triangles out of them. You can't do it. However, we can't prove it, so we call it a postulate. It's the side, side, side postulate. So we would say triangle, and let's just random ABC is congruent to triangle EDC by SSS. We would say side, side, side postulate, but we just write side, side, side. So to do this, you look for 3 sides. You have to have them all. Sometimes the sides might be overlapping, and in this case we say that's reflexive, meaning it's the same as itself, which really makes no sense whatsoever, but I don't know, maybe you get used to it after a little while in geometry. So here's how we do a proof. Statements and reasons, and most of the proofs I will give you, I'll have a large part of the proof done. So in this case, we know that JK is congruent to JM, and we know that KN is congruent to MN. We know this because they were given to us in the problem. So here's the hard part when doing proofs. You need to actually figure out the third side. Well, you look at this third side and say, it's right here, it's JN. So we do this really goofy thing. Since we're going to write side, 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 we've got one side here, another side here. We need a third side so that we have 1, 2, 3. So we will write that JN is congruent to JN, which again seems insane. And it's the reflexive property. Anything is congruent to itself. I don't write property, I just write reflexive. I'm lazy, what can I say? Now we're actually done. Triangle JKN. JKN is congruent. Make sure they match up to JMN. Triangle JMN by side, side, side. And that's it, we're done. Again, this is a lot to ask of students who haven't seen it before, so I will almost always give you a proof that is at least started and just ask you to finish it. So what about these triangles? You might look at them and say, well, I don't know anything about these sides and they're not reflexive. Well, what do we know about these angles in here? And I always give them numbers so they're easier to label. Well, we have a side, an angle, and a side. Side, an angle, and a side. Is that enough? And again, if you went out and grabbed some sticks and some angles, you'd figure out, yes, this is the side, angle, side postulate. Again, we can't prove it. So we would look at this and say triangle RTS is congruent to triangle UVS by side, angle, side. And you should do a proof. You should pause the recording and do a proof yourself first. Now we'll do it now. Statements. Reasons. 1. TS is congruent to VS. And we'll just put it on the line below. We're allowed to do that. RS is congruent to US. And all that was given to us. Now, you might want to put angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 on there, but don't put it in the given. you might be confused. Well, wait a minute, it's right there. Yeah, we drew it in. If we drew it in, it becomes its own separate reason. In this case, we write vertical angles. And now the last step, we've actually already written over here. Triangle RTS congruent to triangle UVS by side angle side postulate, and we're lazy, we just write side angle side. So we didn't see those angles up front. If you're practiced at them, you see them, but if not, it's very confusing. These are sometimes vertical angles. You will often see vertical angles in problems. You might also see alternate interior angles. A lot of people confused by side angle side because they forget that it has to be the included angle. So included angle. That's where the two sides touch. Try not to forget that. Otherwise, you're not doing it right, because angle side side is not a way to prove. So it's got to be side angle side. It's got to be the angle where the two sides meet. That's it. Good luck. Go do some problems.